Angela, tell me about the gestation of this show, which is a really wonderful, complex, layered show, but you've had less than a year to pull it together.
Yes. Well, I was like really nervous when I found out I'm representing Hong Kong, but I have this idea of the theme of levitation on my mind for a long time. And I'm really fascinated actually in one of the protest history in the United States is the protesters going to the Pentagon and trying to levitate the building. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I have to sort of include this in my work in one way or another. And then I came across a book called Levitation, I think. So I'm reading through it and find it's a really fascinating idea. And then it slowly, I was watching more films, reading more books, and then I was interested in the character in Octavia Butler's book, Parable of the Sower. The main character's name is Lauren Olamina, and she learns how to fly in her dream. So that started the whole thing. So that's why my character is called Lauren O. And I'm really interested in speculative fiction. I've been doing projects of sci-fi for a few years already. So this is kind of the direction that I knew I was heading in the very beginning.
Lauren O believes she can levitate. She believes that powerful magnetic fields are generated from the strength of collective will. She also claims to be a member of an activist group called Laden Raven. The delusions of Lauren O have been well studied. Experts agree that her psychosis was triggered by a disturbing dream loop in which she saw herself repeatedly falling to death. In a hypnosis session, Lauren O recalled how she learned to levitate after having visions of St. Joseph of Cupertino, the patron saint of students and cosmonauts.
So there's a wonderful layered kind of introduction to these ideas as you process through the space here. Tell me how you came up with these interventions.
I was in Finland when I was conceptualizing the whole exhibition. So I already have an idea that I'm going to have a film, the sci-fi film, the speculative fiction documentary film as the centerpiece. And then I know I'm going to include some drawings and embroidery. The work in the first room that you saw, the 15 video, is new. And I was thinking about what to put in the courtyard, and I thought about how about a giant swing. So I thought for the 15 videos, I'll have trapeze performers, tightrope walkers, and dancers. So and then when I did the site visit later on, everything just came together. And I thought, okay, this room, I'm going to put the 15 video, and the second room is better for 2D works, and then the third room with the main film.
There's an extraordinary film of a scissor dare game going on with your hands. Is that your hands?
Yeah, my hands.
What was the idea of that? It was about risk-taking, it was about suspense?
Absolutely, it's about risk-taking. Actually, I want to go back rewind a little bit. The first room that you saw with the 15 video, for me, it's about the psychological preparation that you have to go through in order to levitate. Sort of a psychological risk or mental preparation. Because when the tightrope walker walk on a line, it's a constant balancing act to guess what is dangerous and what is safe. And the title of that work is called Tiptoeing on the Kármán Line. So Kármán Line is an imaginary line separating Earth's atmosphere and outer space. So it's a line that never existed. But you still have to guess, to walk on that line, you really have to guess what is dangerous and what is safe. So for the second room, back to your question, it's about risk-taking. It's about the monstrosity of transformation. So, and a lot of work is about the interior of the body, and it's about transformation of the physical transformation. And pain is also about risk-taking, and then you have to prepare your body mentally, mentally, for that kind of process or transformation. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and obviously the film that follows, which is looking at forms of resistance, people trying to break out of the boundaries, oppressive boundaries that have been set around them. There's obviously risk-taking involved there.
Yeah.
And there's also a belief that you can transcend this state that you're currently being oppressed in.
Yes.
But there's so much more. There's so much more to that film. Like I said, I can't wait to go back in there and see the whole thing all over again.
Yeah, it's a multi-layer project. So I think the audience are like welcome to take away, like interpret the film and all the words in any way they want. And I think everybody, I mean, it's a universal idea, concept that people can, that's relate to international audience.
But the idea of resistance obviously has huge traction at the minute. I mean, it has for you as a Hong Kong artist. It has for, Ukrainians.
Yes.
That obviously wasn't in the picture when you started developing this work, but I was reading an interview with you where you were saying you've been very preoccupied with that whole situation as well.
Well, I think coming from Hong Kong, everybody, not only artists, is affected by everything that's been going on, not only in Hong Kong, but everywhere around the world, like you said, Ukraine also. So I think for an artist, it's very difficult to separate your thoughts on your experience from the work. It might not convey directly into the work itself, but I think some of the experience or idea of feeling would seep through in the video work, for example. So, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about these posters behind you, because they are part of a book that will be published, or they're...
Yes, there will be a monograph about this exhibition and also my previous work. We invited writers to contribute a piece around the story of Lauren O and the activist group Laden Raven. So they're free to it's sort of like a side story of the script. So one of the writers is called Jeanette Ng, and she's originally from Hong Kong, but she's based in the UK now. And the title of her book, of her story, is The Girl with the City Inside of Her, and I really love her story. And that's why I decided to maybe have a series of posters in the courtyard with some kind of text. So I picked her title and make it into a poster. So and it also look like the street posters that you see in the city of Venice, and I think it's a really nice echo between each other.
It's a great space you have here with this outdoor space, and I love the sort of circus-inspired furniture that you've created for it too. You've spent the last month, you were saying, in Venice making
fabricating them. Yes, I'm very blessed to have a really talented architect working with me, because I'm not trained as a sculptor. So I have this idea of a giant swing, and I have this idea of a circus ring, but I have no idea how to fabricate them. So he suggested, okay, maybe you can use concrete, mainly because a lot of the work you see in the exhibition are suspended from the ceiling, so there's certain kind of lightness to them. But then on the other hand, you have gravity. You have something really heavy that's anchored towards the ground. So concrete, we decided to be a really good material. It's nice and simple, and we really love the texture. And then in terms of fabrication, it's easy to, instead of carrying, for example, a prefabricated wooden structure all the way from Finland, we fabricated the whole thing here. And that's why we have to be here mid-March to do the whole thing. Oh, by the way, the team, the installation team, everybody was from Finland because of the residency. Yeah.
That you were doing in Sommelina last year.
Exactly. Those are really marvelous team of people.
Yeah. There's a disco ball in the last room. Are you hoping they'll be dancing?
Maybe. I was here at night, and it looks really magical with all the lights spinning, and you can also see the lights in the courtyard as well, really high up the wall. And it's when you are inside the room itself, you really feel that everything is spinning. It's very trippy. Everything's spinning around you. And the idea of the disco ball is of course, it's a very iconic symbol of entertainment and dance, but for me it's also a symbol of collectivity, of collective energy, of millions and millions of people, where you dance towards or levitate or gravitate towards the disco ball. So for me, that's what it means.
And also a period of disco, the 70s, which is referenced, not so much the disco, but the 70s, that whole kind of Esalen community, the California sort of mind experiments, the way in which it was co-opted, I had no idea, by the US military, and just Wow.
It's a really interesting piece of history. I think in a lot of my work, I mix a lot of like facts and fiction. I would say like 90% of the film is based on real facts, and then certain parts of it, of course, is like made up. But that's the fun part. And then I wish people, you know, because history repeats itself, and I see a lot of similarities. So I like to dig up like forgotten history, like for example Esalen, and also what happened in the 60s and 70s, and bring it up. And I think it would. I learned a lot from the process, at least for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a moment at the end where you think it's almost going to go pessimistic, but actually the idea is that these cycles come around again and prepare for the next levitation.
Yeah, even if you're like in the performance, I was like bounded with rope, but in the end, like, is to question what can you do when physically you cannot do anything. Maybe it's a time to go back to your internal landscape and find strength and energy to go on to rise again.
It's a pretty good message to put out there.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Well, the title is Arise. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, my English is not very good.
No,
I am
brilliant.
trying my best.